Apologies first of all, because I don't want you to get too excited. We're not starting a whole big run of dumpling school right now. It will be coming, but I just don't have the time at the moment to do a whole lot of dumplings. But I didn't want to leave you hanging because so many people have asked for it since the last time we did dumpling school. I'm going to show you today how to make my very own homemade dumpling sauce. A dumpling sauce is always going to be personal preference, and it's always going to depend on the type of dumplings that you're dipping into it. Now, most of your yum cha dumplings aren't actually made for using with any sauce at all. Certainly not for dipping in soy sauce, sometimes vinegar. The dumpling sauce that I'm making is the one that you would use for your everyday dumpling that you probably watched the video for, made a whole bunch of, sitting in the freezer. This is a really great sauce for that. It's, obviously multi-purpose, you can use it with any type of dumpling you like, but the reason they're different is kind of in how salty they are, how seasoned they are, how sour they are, whether or not you're gonna put vinegar in there or whether you're gonna put any aromatics like ginger and things in there. This is a very simple dumpling sauce. Now you can add some other things to it, but we'll go through that in a minute. The thing that I think is really important though, you'll see here, I started making this dumpling sauce in February 2015, nearly 5 years ago. What really I think makes a great dumpling sauce is the ability to age it. Because when you're aging it, you lose some of the sharp acidity, but you actually gain a really great roundness to the sauce. Some of the sugars and the umami type tastes in there get a bit more round and a bit more pronounced, and it's really nice to be able to age it. So I actually use some of it, and you can see I'm getting down to the bottom here. I'll top it back up again with what we're making now and continue to age that for another few months before I start using it again. So here are our ingredients. Very, very simple. I've got some rock sugar here. The reason I want to add sugar is because soy sauce always needs a bit of sugar to pull it back from that savouriness. And it's a very savoury sauce, soy sauce, of course. We're not using too much of it, but I want a touch of sugar just to offset the savouriness of the soy sauce. Now, normally I use yellow rock sugar. Yellow rock sugar gives you a slight, I would say maltier taste to it, and it's really, really nice. But if you've got white rock sugar, you can use that too. If you've got regular caster sugar, brown sugar, whatever you want. Just a bit of sweetness, about 60 grams of that going in here. And add some soy sauce too. Not too much, because this is a sauce for having with dumplings. The dumplings should already be really well seasoned. It should taste nice in and of itself. So you don't want to add too much soy sauce because you don't want it to be too salty. So about 150 mils of soy sauce into the sugar. And I'll just stir that over the heat until the sugar's dissolved. So you can see here the sugar's dissolved and it's become this kind of silky, sweet soy syrup, almost. So it's time to finish it off with my vinegars. Into this syrup, you could actually add some other umami flavors, things like bonito flakes or dried mushrooms like shiitake, anything like that. But I'm gonna keep this very simple. I'm adding 2 types of vinegar. The base of this sauce is not saltiness or sweetness. You want the sauce to be primarily sort of on that sour aspect of the taste spectrum. I'm using kind of the 2 most popular vinegars for dumplings. I've got some Chinkiang vinegar. It's actually an old romanization of the town of Chinkiang in Jiangsu province, made from glutinous rice. Very, very famous vinegar, great for all kinds of dumplings. And I'm also using a red vinegar. Red vinegar is usually made from sorghum or millet. It's a little bit, I guess, more tart, a little bit more sour than this, which can be sweet and savory a little bit. So quite often, you can just use this Chinkiang or Zhenjiang vinegar just as it is. But I find it is a lot better when you mix it into a proper dumpling sauce. So maybe 300 mils of this. And then for our red vinegar, about 150 mils. Now I should say these measurements and these ingredients even are by no means absolutes. You can substitute it for anything you like really, as long as they're in the same taste profile. I think the black vinegar is kind of a must, but I've made this with a bit of malt vinegar in there, red wine vinegar. I actually quite like to change the flavors a bit because it's all being mixed together. So the base flavor remains the same, but as you bring new ingredients in there, you kind of get this interesting complexity going on there. So this is essentially our dumpling sauce done. Just want to give it a little taste. Lovely. It's certainly sour. It's got that vinegar base, but it does have that sweetness and also the savouriness of the soy sauce coming through there as well. You don't want to overpower it with soy sauce. You don't need too much in there. So this is just perfect. I'll put it in to my bottle. Now the key to this is aging it. Once it's in the bottle, I mean, you probably leave it a month or two before you start using it, but because we've started with a base of the last batch that we made, it's actually still got that aged flavor in there, so I can use this straight away. Keep this in the pantry, you don't need to put it in the fridge, and it'll last literally forever. Homemade dumpling sauce.